Hello. I decided to go ahead and charge my Leaf in the rain. Unfortunately, the heavy rain has stopped. Basically, I've got when I was telling people that I was going to get this car and that I was researching, and when I got it, I got a lot of misconceptions thrown at me that several of them were about 10 years out of date. Some of them were Tesla related and stuff like that. And I'm going to admit that I myself have had a few misconceptions, even though I sort of tried to keep up on this technology a little bit. Before I go any further, let me point out something here. I'm at a regular gas station. Let me get back into focus. You see here, I have open air all over. If you look over here, all the petroleum gas pumps are covered by this roof ceiling, which is just hilarious. For those of you who might be having a hissy fit right now, you can pause this video in a few moments and go to Google and search charging an electric vehicle in the rain. It is actually quite safe. I will put a link, attach a link to this video to another video that shows you some of the safety precautions that have been put into these charging units to make them completely safe. So those of you who like sharing that one meme of a charging station underwater and flooded, I understand what you're getting at, but let me also point out that a regular gas station, gasoline, petroleum pumps wouldn't work if they were flooded that way either. I mean, the stuff, your credit card charges do not travel through magic to be charged. You need electricity running those things. So, anyhow, like I said, I had misconceptions. I know a lot of other people have misconceptions. So while my car is charging, and it takes a little bit of time, I don't really mind that. I am not a busy person that goes everywhere. Let's be perfectly honest. I didn't get my Nissan Leaf because I didn't do it for the environment. I'm happy that in some respects it does help. But I got it because it suited my needs. And I don't judge people on how much gas their vehicles use. I used to have a Sierra extended cab Dodge pickup truck, for heaven's sakes. Honestly, not too bothered. It's what, if it meets your uses, then by all means, use it. I'm just wanting to make sure that when you talk about other stuff that you got your facts at least a little better than facts here. And I'm going to go through a bunch of things. I will post a list of some of the URLs, some of the websites, some of the research I got here. So because a lot of us are basically going off the Tesla publicity notices and that. So first off, we'll go first and say why I got an EV. Personally, it's easier on my arms. I broke, not to go into too much detail, I broke both my arms about 2.5 years ago. There's the scar, one of the scars there. And then, let me see, the other one is actually, don't want to joggle you all too much. Let me see if I can get a look at this one. It's hard to tell at this angle. There we go, I think I got it an angle. That is actually the more problematic one. While my arms are actually, I have a lot more strength than they told me I was going to have, they will never be completely healed, okay? Don't even go ahead and say, oh, I hope you get better, your arms get better. No, please don't. that just gets depressing and stuff, especially when you're tired and your arms are sore and stuff like that. I'd rather go ahead and just deal with the reality that I am going to have to just make allowances for my shortcomings and just go on with life instead of beating myself up because I can't magically heal something, okay? So, that's the main reason. It's easier for me. This is actually a very smooth ride. If you really want like a race car feel, you want to feel the acceleration and stuff like that, you don't want an electronic vehicle. In fact, I have to be careful because it is so easy to sneak up in speed that you don't realize it. Your braille driving in an electronic vehicle is actually very limited, but not completely gone, because it will at certain speeds. It does have sensors that tell me if I'm going out of my lane. You get this cute little light soft beep. I don't know who engineered this, but the sound stuff they did, these guys need mwah, because they get it where it alerts you or it shakes you gently so you know it without, like, you know, scaring you, so you jump and like run into something. It has a really soft noise that beeps when you go in reverse, so people know that you're coming without, you know, sounding like you're going to rattle everybody's ears off. It does make that slight fan noise so people can hear you. But honestly, the smoothness of the ride is almost like dry riding in a video game. And some of that is because of the weight distribution. In your regular car, you have most of your weight in your, you know, wherever your engine is. And whereas on an electric car, most of the weight is under where you're sitting. I will spare you the engineering mechanics and statics equations to go into that. I am afraid I sort of geeked out on my son when he said that. Because I actually do know this. I did have those classes, and I have one problem in particular that I didn't class. It was regards of canceling of forces that I'm quite proud of, and I will spare you all from that too. So you don't get the sway feel that much. I mean, you get a little bit. Just a little, and the shocks are really good. I mean, sure, you know, this is Oklahoma. You're going to feel some of this stuff no matter what, but some of it, if you're used to, like, oh yeah, I go over this rough patch and then I turn right, yeah, you're going to kind of miss that because it won't feel as rough. Let's see here. And it's easier for me to turn. Let me show you the drive shaft here. The drive shaft is really, really, really easy for me to use, which is good for somebody with fibromyalgia and a bum elbow that will seize up on me on occasion. So that is primarily my thing. That, and I just don't get out anymore. So for me to have a vehicle that I could just like stick in my driveway and just slowly charge or whatever like that is just perfect. But another thing that kind of did this, a lot of people, I actually had somebody recently tell me, it's like, well, the maintenance, and it's like, yeah, you didn't look at this. This car, the Nissan Leaf, this particular 2023 Nissan Leaf, was actually listed as, let's see, this is by, well, I'll have the website and that, but by several consumer reports, as one of the cheapest vehicles to operate once you get it. One thing about electric vehicles that people don't realize is A, you don't need transmission fluid, and B, you don't need engine oil. So I don't have to worry about my oil levels. I don't have to worry about, yeah, I still need wiper fluid. I mean, hey, you still have those, but that's not a big deal. The biggest thing, and I've had people come at me with, point this out, but like I said, limited data. Battery cost. Well, battery replacement cost. Well, first off, all batteries for electronic vehicles, by law, have to have an 8-year warranty. So if anything happens to it in 8 years, it is covered by warranty. In California, it's 10 years before it be sold there. So you're like, well, what's the cost? Well, I mean, if I had a Tesla, it'd be anywhere, depending on the model, from $10K to $20K to replace. If I had a BMW and their electronic thing, that can be $33K, according to my son, who's in the business. A Leaf is anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 to replace the battery thing. Yeah, I've had transmissions fail that were in that range. I don't consider that exorbitant. However, like I said, I'm sure if you get a BMW and have to change that engine, you're going to pay up a whole lot too. Tesla and BMW, they rely on you wanting to pay more because you want to look rich and well-to-do. So now the next thing that I get things here is the cost of fuel. Because, and I love this because nobody who says this actually have any clue what it is. They just assume it's going to be a lot. Because I have not found anything that says, oh, whatever. But I haven't looked that hard. I have looked at is the fact that when I charged my Leaf at my house, it only took me $8. I went and checked the electric, the electric usage when I did it, and it shows my electric company's really cool. It showed me the price. I was able to work out, compare days before and after to kind of negate regular use. To fully do it, well, to half do it I was like at a 50% charge. To half do it, it cost me about $4, a little bit over. So it's about $8 for 100%, I would imagine. So, okay. Now, that's, $8 for 149 miles to the full battery charge, which is about, I figured that out. That was like 241 kilometers. I have that written somewhere in my notes here, but right now let's just go point out something. Before the pandemic, I had a Fiat. Well, I still have the Fiat, but it needs a new oil pan. It's hard to get. I was paying $20 for gas about every week or two, going to and from work. Usually it was like every 2 weeks. Okay, so that was, $40 per month. I was driving about 250 miles on one tank of gas, because I was getting about 25 miles per gallon, sometimes better. Well, when I went and did the calculations here, this would be $30 per month. If all I used was my home electrical system. $30. No, it's not going to shock you at the end. I can dwarf that by turning on my air conditioning. So that's if I do it myself. Now here, you notice I'm at a charge point station. I will zoom in again. You will see that I am not being charged anything. Okay, sorry guys. Didn't mean to, I kind of lost. Let's go here. Okay, the windows are fogging out. I am not being charged. Let me go here. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I am not being charged anything. I wasn't charged anything the last time I was doing it. Matter of fact, a lot of places, in Oklahoma City no less, which is like oil country, there are a lot of places where you can charge your electric vehicle free of charge. And there are places, especially, places like, casinos, convenience stores. I mean, obviously when after I plugged this in, I went into the convenience store, got some cash out for something I need later, got myself a drink. You know, it brings people in just as, you know, whatever. So if I plan things right and I plan things ahead, I can actually do it where I don't have to pay for to charge my Leaf at all. You can usually charge at a lot of dealerships, though they do it during hours of business, most of them. There are places like there's some Starbucks, there's some, you know, restaurants are starting to get in the deal now where you can just like set up your car, go inside, eat, and then come back, and it will be fully charged. So, you know, so you're doing something while you're waiting. And so, I mean, and for me, this is enough. I'm not in a hurry to be anywhere. But I'm gonna, one of the things that right before I got the Leaf that I stumbled across, there was a Canadian guy who has recently started a YouTube channel of mostly his that talks about, you can tell that he was getting tired of the same, some of the same stuff I was getting. He has 3 different electric vehicles. He's been doing EV since, for the past 10 years. And I'm sure he has other vehicles too. He's just a vehicle person. But he got just kind of tired of how people were talking about the charging stuff. And I'm going to just poke this over here to this pretty area. And it has a bunch of videos on how you can use, you know, apps you can use to be able to charge your vehicles and how much they cost and stuff like that. And I will put a link to him too. Basically, ChargePoint, at least for the US, seems to be best. There's also something called PlugShare, which, you know, if you're in rural areas like in Canada and stuff like that, people, you know, register their stuff there, and you know, you have public stuff. So if you think you're in the middle of nowhere, you can check, and you can usually find someone and you know, message them and say, hey, you know, can I use this or whatever. You know, always ask before. And he also has, you know, a video. What do you do when you're in the middle of nowhere and you're running out of electricity? Now, I mean, your vehicle tells you quite often where you're at, how much you need and stuff like that. And I just heard of another app where you can plan your whole electric vehicle route, and it just plots all the charger. That is from a YouTube channel for a retired couple that's in the Southwest US. I'll probably should add them too in that. But yeah, they deliberately take long drives through the deserts of Utah and all this other stuff, and 5 days and all that stuff. So there are ways to handle this, and it's really not that expensive. And anyhow, another reason I chose this one over others, and I know the light's kind of failing here, is well, it's cute, but it is very roomy. It's very roomy back there. I don't know if I'm really showing it. Yeah. Yeah, I had turned off the stuff where we'd be listening to top 80s music. Yeah. Nothing says, I've never been a hippie. I'm a techno geek. But anyhow, I also like the fact it's quiet. I know you guys like rumming your brace and stuff like that. That really just... I wonder if I could just... Let me bring down the... I'll have to turn it on to bring down the windows. Because I am heating this place up. Come on, dudes. Oh, crap. Here we go. Yeah, you're gonna... And let's do that. Yeah, my son normally, whenever he gets a chance, my son has been driving this, which I don't mind. Well, actually, there's one thing I do mind. He keeps putting it into e-pedal. which is annoying, because I want to get used to the car first before I go into the fancy stuff. But however, that said, I left the e-pedal on tonight. I'm getting used to it. I was kind of hoping to wait a few months before I did that, but hey, it is what it is. So let me get on here. As I'm kind of pointing out here, Tesla, there are more than just Teslas in this stuff here. People just they think EV, they think Tesla, they think Elon Musk, and I think that's kind of a disservice to all that, because you got the Chevrolet Bolt and Volt, you have the Cadillac Lyric, the Ford Lightning, the Hyundai Ioniq, the BMWs has stuff, Kia has some stuff, there's Genesis, and Toyota it's not technically an EV car, but it is in a way, is doing hydrogen cells, fuel cells. So I don't think those are ready for prime time yet, but hey, that's said here. But you know, there is a thing called there's stages of tech adoption. There's innovators, there's early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggers. This is by a researcher called EVatrics. I'm not an early adopter, but I'm an early majority, and I always have been that way with tech. So I understand that people often push back on stuff, you know, like smartphones. I've seen it with all sorts of computers and all this stuff. So yeah, this is about the right time for me to get one of these. Now for the distance. I keep getting this all the time. I was going to pick the big battery for this, but instead, and this is really steamed up in here, instead I went ahead and got the regular size. So instead of 212 miles, I have a range of 145, which for comparison, I went and looked up a bunch of things. For comparison is like from Oklahoma City to Tulsa. I can do that in one charge. Can almost do Oklahoma City to Denton, Texas. You can do San Diego to Los Angeles on a single charge. Chicago to Holland, Michigan, which if you are in Chicago or Western Michigan, you know where Holland, Michigan is. And you've probably been there. You can make it from the edge of Austin to the city limits of Houston. You can go from Jacksonville, Florida to Orlando. You can go from Philadelphia to DC. You can also go from London to Cardiff in the UK on the same charge. I had to change it to, I didn't write down, I did it on the computer, but I didn't write down the kilometer thing. But the same distance will get you from Melbourne to Bendigo. Or Bendigo. I should know how to say that. I have friends who live there. You can get from Paris to Belgium. Paris, France to Belgium. Bangkok to the Patera Elephant Farm, which I think is kind of cool. And you can go from Cairo to Alexandria. That's not bad, people. It really isn't. It's not. And yes, you can go more than 70 miles an hour on the highway. I'm not going to test how much further than that. At least not, not on purpose. Okay, so pretty much, that's sort of the reasons why I'm doing it. Now, the rest of this is going to address some misconceptions that people have thrown at me and a few interesting things I found out while researching. First off, and I'm sure I'm making people dizzy by moving around here. Let me try to stabilize myself more. My arms are getting a little tired. First off, lithium batteries. Okay, we're filing this under tell me you don't know how your technology works without telling me you don't know how your technology works. For the record, 90% of the global grid storage, electrical grid storage, is lithium batteries because they're lightweight, they're very efficient. But that said, there are 4 different types of lithium batteries. The safest one is the lithium iron phosphate battery. But all ionic chemical batteries, whatever, have the capacity of having a thermal, what's the term? A thermal runaway. There is no such thing of one that doesn't, but the lithiums, if you compare them to all the rest, are the safest. Oh, but Amanda, we have seen this. Yeah, you know, in the news, yeah. You know, know that old adage? If a dog bites a man, it's not news, but if a man bites a dog, it is news. Yeah, same thing here. Because of how rare it is, it becomes newsworthy. Now, there is an issue with the supply chain, and because of that, Zinc Batteries are currently in development to release that. As for the issues with lithium mining, they are pretty much the same of any mining. Matter of fact, some of the stuff that was shown was not a lithium mine, but an open pit coal mine. Way of mining. The worst part about lithium mining, though, is, well, actually, this is the same with other mines, too, is typically the rights of the people living there, the indigenous people, especially in the remote areas, are pretty much completely ignored. And exploitation occurs in that. So, there is that goes in here. But let's see, just for some, as far as fires from batteries and stuff like that, or vehicles, fire vehicles, according to the National Transportation Board, there are gasoline vehicles have 1,529.9 fires per 100,000 gasoline vehicles, which is 1.5%. Pure electrical vehicles, like my own, is 25.1 fires per 100,000 vehicles. That is less than a percent. Not only is it less than a percent, it's 2.5% of a percent. Now, when we go ahead and do the hybrid, it kind of multiplies here. Hybrids tend to be 3,000, on average, 3,474.5 fires per 100K. But even that is still only just 3.5%. And that is actually from an Auto Week article this year, March 9th, 2023. I will include a link. Now, here's some more fun stuff. The Department of Defense has mandated that all military branches to convert their fleets of non-combat vehicles from gas power to electric power by 2035. The Army is already saying they're going to do it by 2028. The makers of those, and I will provide links on that, is GM Defense. Matter of fact, they're making a electric vehicle, an electronic Hummer. And now some of you are going, oh, this is a fad, all this other stuff. Well, fads don't last longer than 3 years, if even that. This has been going on for decades. There is an interesting article at the Modern War Institute at West Point that is titled "The Lethality Case for Electronic Military Vehicles." The main thing is they're dangerously quiet. The hybrid, now I didn't know this about a hybrid. I was thinking ill of a hybrid until I heard this. Hybrids actually have a higher instantaneous torque for towing and acceleration. Did not realize that. That was a misconception I had. These vehicles have fewer maintenance requirements. And they're better energy sources, because if you already have an electronic vehicle and all that stuff, you have electricity. You also have electricity for drones, lasers, computers, etc. As a side note, and now this is for electronic bikes, not other stuff, but in Ukraine, it has been reported that their special forces have been using electric bikes with anti-tank missiles, the NLAW, or NLAW, and have been incredibly successful with those. And that. Another side note, China deploys electric trucks. A huge amount of electric trucks, as well as other electrical vehicles. They also have a larger supply of the natural material for the batteries. But yeah, China's already got electric trucks on their roadways. And the United States Postal Service is planning to deploy over 66,000 electric vehicles by 2028. I believe they've already done like 1,500 are being delivered like next month. I forgot to write that down. But, you know, it's just really interesting. And I just want to end this with, I'm not expecting gasoline cars to be, I'm not expecting you to give your gasoline cars up. I'm not expecting them to take over in the next, I don't know, 50 years. Well, maybe by 50 years, I don't know. But I just wanted to just update people on what's actually going on there. So, you know, just be chill. Don't worry. Bye.